and welcome to the Freestyle Takeover podcast, episode 3. I am DJ Melvis.
I am Gabby J, aka Captain Canada.
That's right, we're kicking this show off here, and you can tell we're kind of a little shorthanded this week as far as staff goes. Shout out to our buddies Rad Paolo and DCB Ryan.
John.
And John, yeah, I mean, they're going across the country right now. Paolo's out in Austin. Ryan's out in Arkansas. John's recovering from a bad breakfast burrito. Yeah, man, life comes at you pretty fast. But fear not, we actually have some awesome guests coming up later in the show. A couple of freestylers that made some big waves over the weekend and actually even earlier in the year. We got Uncle Phil and we got Funktion up in here, right?
That's right.
All right, straight out of Sacramento, yes.
Straight out of Sactown.
Yeah, it's a little booming scene that we got over there. Not even booming, just like they've been holding it down in other avenues, so we will bring that to you later on in the show. But first things first, we got a lot of news this week, and let me tell you, when I said life comes at you fast. So,
it's been busy.
Yeah. So, what happened was, there was a tweet that went around from a DJ named Slushii, who, by the way, if you want to follow him on Twitter, it was at Slushii Music. That's SLUSHII Music. And the tweet said something along the lines of,
let's revive DDR.
Yeah.
There's like, hey Konami, let's revive DDR.
And so what's crazy was Konami had replied to that thread pretty much saying, hey, go play Dance Rush Stardom, which, if you're looking at this from a DDR fan, you're just thinking, really? You're going to kind of push us away from Ace and play Stardom? So, kind of from that, there was a wave of people, of groups out there who've been active keeping the DDR community in the limelight. There's people from SF Evolved, DDR community had chimed in, so they're showing off all the tournament videos and, et cetera, et cetera. So, of course, us Freestyle Takeover, yeah, you gotta shoot your shot sometimes. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and so sure enough, we gave it a holler, and lo and behold, we got retweeted by Konami. Like, not in our wildest dreams, because we just kind of assumed they don't care about the arcades, and, we thought we're just kind of an afterthought, but hey, to get that kind of rub, that's... we were modestly blown away, to say the least. And
yeah, it's a start, dude.
Yeah, it's a start. So not only did, we get the retweet, we got the follow, which was like, no freaking way, And what's crazy was, we'd started posting results from the tournaments we'd been hosting, from like the events that we've been doing, like Cypher, etc.
Yeah, we showed off Riri's video.
Yeah, the winner of Cypher won.
That's what got their attention first.
Yeah, so the traction that we've been gaining is nothing short of... I mean, we're kind of under the microscope now. They know they're out there. I mean, why just all of a sudden Konami seems to be interested in DDR? Who knows? I mean, my personal theory was they've got a summer intern running social media, and so they're just following, like, hey, this is my job, I want to impress. But regardless, this is real. This is what a time to be alive. What a time to be a DDR fan. What a time to be a freestyle fan.
Maybe they've got an intern in there who's a big old DDR freak fan. Used to watch the Matsuri AI videos back in the day and saw freestyle come up again in 2018 and jumped right on that. We'll take small steps, but it does feel like progress to get the follow from Konami. And clearly they want to push Dance Rush. I did see lots of folks were really quick to cry doom and gloom and say, oh, Konami doesn't care about DDR. I don't think Dance Rush is the DDR killer. I think the two can coexist, but because it's such a new game, I mean, I don't blame them for wanting to push it to the moon.
Yeah, which actually kind of leads me to a pretty important question here. I mean, given this turn of events, in this past week, yeah, what would you say is probably more critical to the state of the game and growing, specifically the freestyle community? Do we need a newer DDR? Do we need like Ace 2 or like more downloadable content? Or is it more important to have Konami having an involvement with the community as far as following us, retweeting tournament results and so forth, maybe even getting to the point where they sponsor tournaments? Yep. I mean, do we kind of need a little bit of all of the above, or is there one that major hurdle that needs to be cleared first?
I'm still pretty new to Ace, to jumping back in the scene last year. I wasn't around for the whole period where a lot of fans felt neglected. I wasn't around to experience that, but I do feel a lot of the players' pain in saying that, where have you guys been the last decade? Like, we got X1 through 3 with bullshit cabinets. We don't feel the support. I mean, it's nowhere near. It's getting closer to being in esports, taking small steps, but given that American players have only just recently been able to qualify for KAC as of, I think, 2017 with Chris, it seems pretty insular over there. It seems like Konami's keeping it in Japan. I think there's still a lot of work to do, and I think we could really use that. So I'm fine to wait for a new mix.
Mm-hmm.
DDRB might be around the corner, but dude, I'm good to wait and just get some DLC songs for DDR Ace with added support from Konami. I think that'll be huge for all the players.
Yeah, honestly, I think DLC is the way to go because DDR as it is not something you really need to reinvent the wheel on. The gameplay should be very straightforward. Adding like goofy little twist to it doesn't really help. I mean, classic example is say like DDR versus Intergroup, where Intergroup do on all sorts of crazy things like spinning arrows and landmines. It's like we don't really need. It's you just gotta leave well enough alone sometimes. So with the technology they have, I think DLC would be great. I think one major hurdle that's stopping this from being more ubiquitous is that there are exclusive contracts in America where I believe only Round 1 and Dave & Buster's can get those machines, and not every one of them get them on at that. Like I know plenty of Dave & Buster's that don't have the cab.
Yeah.
I understand there are some cost prohibitive points to it. Like to run EMUs is what, like $200 a month?
$200 a month.
Yeah, so that's
their business model.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And if you're the average D&B operator who doesn't understand how wildly popular this can be, you might think, an extra $200 for this niche game, when clearly you can make more money off a redemption game or anything else. It's that's why I think it's important for us as people in the community who play, run these tournaments. We need to get this out there. You got to show the market that, hey, people turn out for this thing. People show out. This is something that can make your, sizzle reel pop.
Yeah, this is a game with depth. It's got a crazy high skill ceiling. Mm-hmm. Players can play this game for years and years and never quite master it. I don't know what kind of money it makes compared to air hockey, but it holds its weight in the arcade.
Yeah. I think regardless, this is just a great thing to have now that we have the ear or eyes of Konami. This dialogue can be extended, and who knows where we can go from here. But this is a huge step that we're taking forward, and I'm excited to see where this can go.
Yeah, it's only been a few days, so
yeah,
it's super early. But dude, they've already given us like 4 retweets this week.
We'll take
whatever.
it.
We'll take it. We'll take whatever.
Yeah. So you can imagine us over here at Freestyle Takeover. It's like, oh gosh, now we better put out some quality content. Yeah. Let's get the content mill churning. So
pressure's on, dude.
Yeah. With that in mind, we do have some upcoming events in the next few months. One of the major things that we're doing is we will be at MAGWest, which is the big video game convention. MAGWest will be in Santa Clara. I believe that's what Santa Clara Convention Center, right by the Hyatt, which is by like Levi's Stadium.
Yes, sir. The old Fanime?
The old Fanime building, yes. So that'll be August 10th through 12th, which is a Friday through Sunday. We believe our tournament will be on that weekend. We believe it will be on the Saturday, the 11th. We'll provide you more details as we get them, as soon as we nail down the finer points, etc. On top of that, we will have a panel at MAGWest, and would you like to kind of give us more on that, James?
So the panel is still pretty early in development. I think we want a couple, top tier freestylers, maybe DaKree, 001, if you guys want to join us and just talk over freestyle history and what exactly is freestyle to non-players and newer audiences. We basically do like a little live podcast, but also have some live presentations to really introduce freestyle and get them excited about it for the event later that day.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and also we're going to have a tournament out there, and there will be prizes. There will be all sorts of cool stuff. So, hey, and MAGWest is a pretty cool convention. I've seen the Bimani Row last year. They had like the current cabinets other than Ace, but they also had like Dance Evolution, which, you can't find many of those machines around easily. So stuff like that in
the mix.
And the mix will be 4th plus.
I think we haven't quite confirmed the mix yet, but we are pushing for 4th plus. We love that mix. That was the one I grew up on, like the first one I played. So either that or Disney's Rave are our targets.
Yeah, I think we've only had like one Disney Rave tournament ever in the Bay Area, maybe 2.
Yeah, it's a little niche.
Yeah, I won that freestyle tournament, by the way.
Oh, you won that?
Yes, I
I
did.
never knew the results for that. Awesome.
Oh yeah, the
All
bump,
right.
man.
The bump.
How could you not pick that song? Okay, so yeah, that's one of our events coming up soon. Also, we've got Cypher 2, Electric Boogaloo. Yes, after Cypher 1 proved you guys out there, not only do you care, but y'all got like major talent just everywhere across the world. We got to run it back. So with that said, let's go ahead and unveil the song list for them.
All right, so I gotta go with Gamelan the Couple.
Gamelan the Couple, which today I learned Gamelan is actually a Indonesian percussive style.
All right.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
all this time I thought Gamelan the Couple was some sort of like Brazilian kind of vibe to it, but no, it's Indonesian.
Yeah, I never knew the origin, so that's
yeah,
awesome.
from Mambo a Go-Go. So
Dude, great song.
Yeah. One song I was thinking of just because it's a song I've always loved since DDR Max, and it's also one of my nemesis. It can suck the stamina out of me, but it's such a great song, and on certain steps, it's kind of freestyle, and it just kind of got a little bit of a exotic flavor, you want to say, and that was just a really horrible lead into exotic ethnic.
Yeah.
So that's
good light chart.
Oh yeah, very favorable.
Simple. Yeah. You can totally freestyle this one. It's a fast one, but it's actually pretty danceable.
And it's been done before, so
yeah, exactly. Who was that? Was that Layla?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, it was one of the old DDR spot videos. What we got next?
We got ourselves a treat from Sweden, and well, there are only about 3 things that come out of Sweden, which is like IKEA furniture, ABBA tracks, and of course one of the anthemic songs of the 2010s, which was Avicii's "Wake Me Up." Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. This could be the try to love you of this cipher.
Yeah, which is funny because
you will get extra points. I don't want to say you will, but it's gonna be hard not to give you extra points for doing a little tribute to Avicii on this one.
Yeah, there's always like the 1 or 2 songs when we hold a tournament, we're like, oh gosh, they're probably gonna spam this one, or this is gonna be the standard, and no one ever touches it. Like I remember the first Freestyle Takeover turn we ran. We're like, come on, everyone's going to do break free, right? And no one did. So it's like, do we have to put a gun to your head, people, to do this? So Wake Me Up is officially our, hey, do it. We don't care, And would you like to give him the final one?
Finally, this next one I was inspired by watching, again, Riri on his YouTube channel. I saw him do Brazilian Anthem on Expert, and he threw some pirouettes in there again. He had like a salsa flavor to it. It's fun to freestyle. Like any difficulty, this song's amazing. So I really hope to see some Brazilian Anthem.
All right, so just to recap, that's Gamelan the Couple, Exotic Ethnic, Wake Me Up, and Brazilian Anthem. And if you can't notice already by the theme of these 4 songs, we're going with a very international flavor, which is Indonesia, Egypt, Sweden, Brazil.
World beat.
I love it. Now, who's going to be doing the judging this time? It is not going to be the Freestyle Takeover staff. No, this time we will stand clear of it. So, who's going to judge? You will be tried by a jury of your peers. And by that, we mean we are going to take every winner from every previous Freestyle Takeover event, and they are going to put eyes on you, which means our Cypher winner, Riri, will be a judge. 001, who is actually our first Freestyle Takeover event winner. And then we will have the winner of Fanime's tournament. Should we keep that a secret?
For now.
Okay, you'll know later. Yeah, hold on to your butts. Actually, our 4th judge, the public. That is the people who are fans of Freestyle Takeover. Which means the way the public is going to be able to vote, now this is not just going to be some way where the Russian bots are going to win this one. No sorry, Bob. But the public vote will count if the person follows Freestyle Takeover on Twitter. That's at FS Takeover. We will open our DMs, and they will be able to send us a DM with their scorecard saying, the top 3 or, rank every routine that they see. And after tabulations, they will hold one collective vote. So to recap, that will be Riri, 001, the winner of the Fanime Freestyle Tournament, and the public.
And you.
You, the people. You are lovely listeners. All right, deadline will be announced on our website, so pretty much once this podcast drops, we will have all the details. You'll get about the same time as you did last time, which is roughly 6 weeks. All right, so guys, let's get after it. We loved what you did the first time, and we know you can deliver a second time around. And hey, if you did the first time, we would like to see an encore. If you didn't enter the first time, we encourage you. I mean, come on, Konami is watching. Okay, so speaking of Fanime, which I alluded to about a minute ago or so, we just ran our most recent freestyle tournament at Fanimecon this past Friday, and wow. First off, it was just awesome to bring back DDR Extreme again.
Absolutely.
I mean, pound for pound, that might be the best freestylable, just between the songs and, like, the sheer amount of volume of opportunities. It's pretty awesome. So round one was a improv round where each contestant was randomly selected and assigned a song from our pool of songs that we hand selected. Honestly, I thought they were some pretty awesome songs. There was an umbrage with a title or two, but overall, I think we did a great job. I mean, pound for pound, all the competitors that went out there, they did something with it.
Yeah, I think Jonas had a hot open. Like, what a better way to kick a show off than some nori.
Yeah, that was just a bonkers routine. That dude threw like the kitchen sink, and it was if I'm not mistaken, he ran the table with that. Yeah. Like he went wire to wire and qualified first with that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty dope.
We got to see some people out of their comfort zone.
Yes.
Like Brandman got the reflex,
which was a song he had never heard before.
Like he wasn't born when that song was released.
Yeah, you were the millennials we are grumbling about. Just kidding, love you.
No, but he caught on real quick. He had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah.
Full on cosplay, schoolgirl outfit.
Yeah, it's Fanime. You got work that runway.
That's right. Get it, Brian.
Yeah, and I think I have to address this now because there have been minor death threats put on me, or at least stares of disdain. Jill, one of the great female freestylers out there, I know she's active in the pump scene as well. Shout out to her. She got Jam Jam Reggae, and I'll say straight up, yes, I was the one who put that song in the hopper, because that song is it's fun as hell. The steps are actually not that bad because it's on 80 BPM, so it's not like you have to rush through. You don't have to double time it. You just gotta, feel like bam, bounce. I mean, if I got that song, I would be happy as hell. So
you don't gotta overthink it. It's what, a dance hall, right?
Yeah,
it's made to dance to.
Yeah, so you gotta feel irate.
So real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to 001 as well. He had a really tough draw in the first round. Probably the closest thing to like our bomb in the grab bag there.
Yeah, with Waka Laka, which I didn't choose, by the way. Don't blame me. No, sorry, Bob.
That wasn't Mel that time. That was me. I threw it out there in the Slack channel, and we all thought it was a great idea. I still stand by it. I think it's a really fun, bouncy kind of Eurobeat kind of song.
Great song.
Yeah, but sometimes there's a bit of a styles clash. 001 struggled a little bit with it, and it lacked some of the variety I'd seen in his freestyle in the past. So he didn't qualify for round 2.
Yeah, which I think doesn't say so much about him, but more so just the game that a lot of people brought to improv.
Yeah,
I mean there were some legit heavy hitters. My best analogy to that is very much like the Castro Valley tournament, where even people like Bruce Leroy got like 7th or 8th place or something. And he was, shocked. But honestly, if you looked at how good every other routine was, someone has to come in 7th place. And so, sometimes the pendulum swings your way, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. I think the more competition we have in this scene, if 001 can't qualify for round 2, and we got enough talent out there to make top 6, like that really says something about who did make it that day.
It's kind of one of the best things about freestyle. It's anything can happen. Just because you're going against 001 or DaKree, it's not a guarantee they're going to win. You can come out of nowhere with something just unique, a different slant than everyone else, or you just do you and you do it really well. And that's the beauty of freestyle. We like to see people get inspired and step out of their comfort zone and just wow us away with something that isn't part of the norm.
Yeah. And
we encourage new blood to come out there. It's great to have someone who has a great run, can like run the table for a year or something like that. But no one is infallible. I mean, I can think of all the best freestylers, and I can't think of one that just completely sledgehammered their way through everything.
It's awesome. And James himself, he had the best attitude about it after the fact. Like he completely understood our judging. He came up to us. He said, I'm glad you guys didn't give me special treatment or play favorites. It's that day just didn't pan out, and so I stuck to my guns as a judge. And lucky for us, he, in the spirit of things, he still wanted to put out the routine he planned for round 2, and so he went up after all the routines and got up and put on his routine to Kiss Me All Night from Extreme,
which was a really sharp routine. And just kind of looking through it, I did not get to watch it live because I was too busy tabulating the results for round 2, I believe, or one of the rounds. After watching the video, by the way, shout out to Joe for getting us the video footage for that.
Yes.
Also, Kanaruru giving us a alternate angle as well. So for all the people that did the camera work, thank you. Devil would just look at that routine reminds me of why I like his style a lot. Just the way he uses his arms and does these really cool geometric shapes and all these lines that he puts out there. It's kind of mind bending and it's really awesome. It's something that he very much makes his, that's him. We see him do what he does. It's like you look at that and you're like, yeah, that's his style. No one does it quite like him.
Exactly. And he was talking to us on the podcast about wanting to make his stuff look like a music video, and you can tell he puts so much work into those to make his moves varied and diverse and fit the song really, really well.
Yeah,
it's so on point.
And I think what's also impressive is when I think of a lot of the great freestylers, a lot of them have a certain BPM and groove that they go into, and usually the sweet spots are between somewhere anywhere between 90 to 120 BPM. But he goes into the stuff that's 140, 150 BPM, and he does extremely well. I know for me, I'm too worried, think I'm going to look like Jazzercise or something stupid, but he completely makes it look awesome, and it's just something that I look at and thinking, man, I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have pulled that off, but he does.
This was the third in his Naoki trilogy. Speaking to 150 BPM, he had Pink Rose back in 03.
Oh yeah.
He had Blue Impulse this year, and then
that was about a 135.
Yeah, 135, and then months later he wraps it up with Kiss Me All Night, and to get that choreo down at that BPM.
Mm-hmm.
That's super impressive.
All the videos, by the way, are up on our website, freestyletakeover.com. We'll have a link to our YouTube playlist, so check them all out after you're done listening to this. You will not be disappointed.
I'd say pound for pound the best round 1 routine was Uncle Phil.
Center to Heart, yes, that was one of my picks.
Start to finish, he had so much variety in there, and just party dances and having fun with it. I love the scene of that out of improv.
Here comes another cool dancer.
Phil, how do you feel about your first round?
Oh, I was just trying to be as funny as possible. I try to make a more comedic route, because when I try to be a little too serious, then I get in my head and I got to remember to just have fun,
That's right.
It's like that, what was it? The G4 TV segment. Remember where, Simon says, DDR is about having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Tekken. Like that one bit where you didn't bend your knee, but you just brought your foot up and tried to squash a bug.
Yeah, when I stomped. It just came out of nowhere.
I'm always amazed, watching improv. People will just come up with stuff that I've never seen in DDR freestyle. Just when you think you've seen every kind of movement out there, someone just hits you with something as random as that. And yeah, it was really fun to watch, man.
I've watched a lot of video archives from DDR Freak a lot. And I've seen different routines, and it really seemed pretty funny. Guys go up there and do random stuff. So I try to do what comes to mind, but not too much. I just like to have fun. So
yeah, in improv, it's all about spontaneity.
Yep.
Right.
It's giving them what they least expect.
Mm-hmm.
So for our routine round, we saw some great stuff from our top 6. Number 6 was Bruce Leroy, who qualified. He went up there with Groove, just did a little improv to one of those classic, Max? DDR Max songs.
Yes.
Yeah. I think he'd entered that at a B3, right?
I believe that was his opening round routine. That's
right.
Correct.
He even had the claps in the same place.
Yeah.
That was a real nostalgia trip to CBJ.
Yeah, he hasn't freestyled probably since at least a good 10 years or so. The last time I remember him even doing anything of that sort, he actually went to a World Pump Finals.
Yeah.
In Korea, yeah.
I believe it was WPF 2005.
Is it 5? Yeah.
Hey,
5 or 6.
my memory serves me correctly. And Phil with a verification check.
I actually heard about him through that before I knew of him of a DDR freestyle, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've discovered Bruce Lee away from Pump.
That's amazing. Dude.
Wow, that's kind of like saying, your first impression of Madonna was like, music from 2001.
I was gonna say music.
It wasn't like Into the Groove. It wasn't like a Virgin. It was like, post-millennium Madonna.
Yeah.
Or a Jump.
Well, what was the song? Was it Hung Up that had the actual DDR machines in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Taking it back to ABBA.
Right. Love that track.
Oh my gosh. Bruce Lee were also from up in Sacramento?
Yeah, he went to Sac State, I believe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like seeing him go, that was like the closest freestyle has had. I mean, it was Pump It Up, so DDR hasn't quite gotten there. But that felt like KSC. That felt like Bruce Lee goes to the Olympics to compete against the entire world at Pump It Up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He had the long dreads.
Yeah, right. His hair.
Yeah, and at that time there really was. At the time, there really was no harder freestyler than him because I think he was still riding the wave off CBN.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Right.
He was
there wasn't many West Coast freestylers at the time. The South really dominated, just like they do in Speed. Because Smidget, I think he's from North or South Carolina or something like that. Red Viper, they're all from the South, who usually represent the U.S. For WPFs.
Yeah, he was like our Thor in the Avengers. Like, if there's one guy to send out, like that's Bruce Lee, right?
Yeah. Or actually, he played Spider-Man in that insertion.
Hey.
Yeah. So hey, we did have the Marvel slant, correct?
Awesome freestyle, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's like my top 2.
That was clever.
Oh,
My favorite of all time.
Then fifth place.
Yeah, 5th place was Ramil, I believe.
Yes, he did After the Game of Love, which is one of my all-time favorite songs too. I don't care if it's a guilty pleasure or not. That song is fun as hell to freestyle.
Crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was like a throwback to Trampala.
Yo.
I think he even humped the pad in like the same part of the song. So it's like if you're gonna steal from the best.
Mm-hmm. And Ramil, I don't believe I'd seen very much of his material until that day. Like nothing jumps to me, but one thing I really did like about him, I love his footwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just so light on his feet, and like I hate those kind of players, and I only say hate because I sit there and think, damn, I wish I had that footwork.
Has he played Pump a lot, Phil?
Yeah, that's where I met him through, is mostly Pump.
Cool. We got ourselves a two-sport athlete now.
Yeah, he's competed in many tournaments in the past.
Man, I'm still catching up. That's awesome, though. All right, 4th place. Another Pump player was Jill, who, by the way, shoutouts to the Yakuza 0 cosplay she had going on all night. Like, those made for some of the best photo ops.
It was all about that chicken.
Of Takeover. It was all about that. Yeah, it was all about Nugget, the chicken. Yeah, she got La Copa de la Vida, which is one of my favorite Extreme songs. And, we all had to do the sing-along, except for the parts we didn't know the lyrics.
There are only so many foreign languages we can say 1, 2, 3 in. But nonetheless, it's just always a good time to have one of those sing-along type songs that you can just chant to. It's like, it's great for the player up there, and it's great for the audience.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing you'll get to like being at a WWE event.
By the way, with Jill, I really liked her reaction when she ended up getting Jam Jam Reggae. That was hilarious.
And
her improv song. Oh man, the reaction on her, or the look on her face was just priceless.
Dude, her face.
And yeah, when she was just asking who chose this,
yeah.
I'm like totally looking the other way and like whistling. Like, I am not, this is not the hill I am dying on.
Oh, boy.
That was too good.
Like, she must have like some past history with that song or something. But dude,
that's neither here nor there. Although that could be a future podcast episode.
We gotta interview her.
The songs you hate.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I like the whole improv. In the first place, I thought that was a great addition to enter a tournament. So you can practice your improv and you can practice your routine as well, which I like, because then you don't have to worry about taking that extra time to try to get 2 routines down at each tournament, which is really hard as it is, especially with pump tournaments when we've had them frequently. When we constantly have to do 2 routines, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask the players.
Yeah, as someone who entered the USPF this year, it was a nightmare coming up with 2 routines.
Especially the amount of time that we had. I needed at least a month and a half to prepare one routine.
Yeah, I want to say I only had like 1 month to come up with all that. and that's like the first
Yeah.
pump tournament I'd ever entered. So
And we also really wanted to lead off with with improv. It always feels anticlimactic to end on an improv round because you don't get your best stuff out of your performers, and you put the best stuff up front with routines. It's kind of backwards. So I want to save that main event routines for round 2, and I think it really worked out.
Mm-hmm. So let's get on to the routines at place.
Yes, our top 3. Third place was an unknown maxed luchador.
Yes.
Lucha.
I don't know where he came from, but he just I think Jonas must have had to go take care of his kid.
Yeah. I think he was taking time away from saving an orphanage or something like that.
Yes.
To compete, and he did 511, which, as someone who's always loved that song since the 2DX days, it's you just can't go wrong. At least for my heart, hey, you win it with picking that.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a little bit of a hybrid of Grace with like some wrestling poses.
A lot of poses.
Yeah. And anyone who's followed us for a while, we're a bunch of marks over here for wrestling, so it's a low-hanging fruit, but it's effective.
Yeah, he knew his judges, and it just he stayed true to himself. It was a very Jonas routine.
It was NCWO personified.
Absolutely, really good to see him back after all those years.
Yeah, but I'd say he was on a hiatus for the longest while, according to him, and I believe it was Jill that actually brought him out of it. So, hey, thank you. And again, I'm sorry for Jam Reggae, and that's the last apology you're going to get out of me.
All right, coming up on number 2. We have our podcast guest was Uncle Phil.
Yay!
One of my this song "Celebrate." It's always been like a thorn in my side because of the vocals. I can never get down to it.
How could you
Right.
not?
I just
it's disco. I mean, like
it was disco. Yeah,
it's disco, and to me, it's very. If you get, it's like the DDR equivalent to Boogie Wonderland.
it is. It's
with an exception of like Wonderland on third mix.
Yeah.
But no, this is like
it's a Bimani Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah,
I've come full circle on it. Back in the day, I just couldn't listen to it, but to see Uncle Phil kill this song like he did, amazing routine. I loved it.
I had mentioned it to you earlier. The reason why I picked that song is because I think I wasn't sure if it was the last podcast or the one prior to that. You guys had brought up Celebrate Night, and then when I was going through the Extreme Machine that we had here, I saw Celebrate. I was like, I don't think anyone's ever freestyled to this song before, so I think I'm gonna go for it.
You are correct.
So it worked out.
That's your song now. That's like you've claimed that song, and no one else is gonna touch it.
Oh yeah. I've always ignored that song in the past, and I'm starting to appreciate older songs, especially a lot of the house songs that were in the previous ones, like Don't Stop and a lot of those songs and Groove. I never really appreciated those songs until now. They've aged gracefully for me.
Yes.
That's real awesome. I mean, right from the jump when you pick Celebrate, I was just already doing the Birdman hand rub, like, oh, this is gonna be good. So yeah, the fact that you just went out there and just went balls out with energy and all the sassy moves and such, right afterwards, I just in my mind I was like, this is the routine to beat.
Well, thank you.
Also, what was your cosplay? Like, my wife keeps calling it the Fozzie Bear outfit, and
Yeah,
I want to know what the costume is.
It starts with an R. I don't know what the actual name of it is. I just got it online for really cheap, and I was like, I've never had a kigurumi, so I was just like, oh well, for $20, I'll take it.
So it's a kangaroo, you said?
Oh no, a kigurumi.
A kangaroo, okay.
Yeah, the onesies. I don't know exactly what the name. It starts with an R. It's a bear. I forgot what it's called, but it starts with an R. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay, yeah. I hear, kangaroo, and I'm thinking like, any relation to Booker T's Spinneroonie?
No.
Phil, one thing I love that you did for most of the routine, you did a lot of pairs. Like, you did a lot of double ups on certain moves, really giving it time to sink in. Like, you did 2 of everything almost. Mm-hmm. It felt really like symmetrical.
Right. Right.
And by doing 2 of everything, or 2 of a lot of moves, you really highlighted what that movement was, and I love that about it. So
right. I mainly like to groove, so I like to stay on beat. I don't really have huge movements. I've always been more of the groovy type since I have more of a house background.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's something someone's always told me that I should really stick to is just grooving, and just kind of keeping basic steps, but make it your own.
Yes.
So that's what I mainly focused on, because Celebrate's a song. It's especially with that black gospel, very, very side to side kind of feel to it.
Yeah, totally. It really played to your strengths to do this routine.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I'm from Takeover 1, like we were saying, like the minute Phil puts a routine together, he's gonna be like the one to beat, like top 3.
Yeah, I think in my notes, I'd even specifically written or just had intimated, if this guy faced an audience, he would easily be top 3, maybe even top 2. You know, that, and lo and behold, at Fanime, when you do this facing the audience, I'm like, this guy got it. This guy totally freaking nailed it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So definitely helped with my confidence when you guys said that in your last podcast. So definitely used what you guys have said and incorporate that into my freestyle. Still need to work on my expressions though, because it's hard to look into the crowd and have these different facials, like different, you know, trying to interact with the crowd. It's not something I'm used to since I'm used to playing in a garage. So trying more face expressions. I think this is like the first DDR, at least freestyle routine that I actually took the time to try and learn. Prior to that, I always did things last minute. And when you learn over and over again not to do things last minute, it really goes a long way.
Yeah. I only had about 2-3 days to learn my chart for the exhibition. And I had fun up there, but watching it over, like I looked like a deer in the headlights sometimes. And I didn't. My face, I was so focused on the arrows.
Right.
I didn't have enough variety in my face, and watching guys like DaKree who just have such confidence and such facial expression, like dude, that makes such a difference.
Oh yeah.
So I think we could all stand to work on that, but
right.
It really comes first.
We all learn together.
Yeah.
It's the journey of doing better each time. All of us. Yeah. Speaking of DaKree, that was our top guy. I mean, 2018. He's kind of ever since after winning USPF. You know, he's kind of like this freight train coming. So he's claimed, he's planted his flag on both sides of the dance rhythm.
He's Braun Strowman in a Idolmaster cosplay.
Right.
Killing it this year.
Yeah, his Dr. Love routine, and I think one thing that we appreciated kind of after the fact was that the top 3 songs, their routines, were all Beatmania Club Mix songs. Or DDR Club Mix, rather. But that's it. Just goes to show. Sometimes if you just dig deep, you'll find like some super gems out there. And Dr. Love is obviously one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Right.
So he just took everything from like whacking, a little bit of voguing, stuff like that, and just
character.
Yeah, he's that guy who turns his character up to like 12. They say it's just like in wrestling when they say the best wrestlers are the ones that just have their personalities turned up to 10. And
right,
he's like sometimes they say people you got to dial it up to 10. I think he's one of those rare people that you have to dial it down to 10. Otherwise, like your head's going to explode. People are going to get arrested. Decency's going to get thrown out the window. Not that we're against it, because it's all in good fun at the end of the day.
Yeah,
right.
At the end of this one, I'm pretty sure he seduced his physician, or he was the doctor. I wasn't sure if he was Dr. Love or not. But like
that ending with the knee drop and the knee swivel, whatever he did, that was amazing.
He's getting down dirty in the doctor's office.
Yeah,
and this is almost like tame compared to his stuff in Puppet Up last event. So
that is the most G-rated freestyle I've ever seen, I will say.
Wow, that's saying a lot. So funny note from the judging. So obviously DaKree won, and everyone had DaKree as first place except for me, because I had you, Phil, as first place.
Thank you.
it was not easy.
So I think the moral of the story is, if you want to win a freestyle tournament hosted by us, do not cater to my taste, because I'm going to be your only fan, apparently.
Hey man, it was a fine line. Like they're two very just like stylistically, there's 2 very different routines, but just both so on point, just with the memorization and the character, the audience interaction, dude. You guys like went neck and neck in this one.
Yeah. And Wendell actually, we talked about this afterwards, and I said, I had Phil winning this, and Wendell said, you know what? I was that close to putting Phil as number 1 too. So Wendell, you almost swept the Husky boys.
Man, that's right.
So Phil, just want to get your impressions of the event as a whole. What do you think?
I thought it was great. Gave me a reason to really get something down and I was stoked from the start. That video that you made got me extremely hyped. I've watched that promo video like at least 30, 40 times.
Oh man.
Well, can you
And you're finding up old footage of me, even in my Domo-kun cosplay. That was the first Fanime I've ever attended.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was the very first one. I think that was 2008,
Oh man.
Wow.
2007, 2008. That was my very first Fanime.
That might have been my first, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I might have seen you walking around.
A journey it was.
Wow.
I actually ended up taking the Amtrak over there from Sacramento, taking 3 different buses, trying to carry that box around just so I can play DDR in a cosplay box.
Oh my goodness, that's dedication, man.
Oh yeah, and that was inspired by Jonas when he brought his Wiimote.
Oh,
that's right.
Remember the Wiimote?
Yeah, he brought the Wiimote, and then I don't know if you guys remember AWH, Toady.
Yeah, Andrew.
Yeah, he was from Sac, Roseville area. He played in it. He was playing Max 300 in that Wiimote. Got a lot of hype over that. But yeah, the event went absolutely well. Besides the whole spacing issue, outside of that, I thought it did really well. But that's nothing you guys were able to control. That was more of the Fanime staff.
Yeah, the crowd control was something we learned from Quick, in that we need to designate where you can and can't stand for traffic flow. By day 2, the organizers had tape down for the DDR tech tournament that went down, and it was a lot more manageable. But dude, we were legit a fire hazard the first day.
But truth be told, though, if your party is so rocking that the cops got to come knock in, hey, that's a badge of honor, in the whole scheme of things.
It means we're doing something right.
Absolutely. So, moving forward in 2019, if we decide to do another tournament where we have the expectations and we can pitch this to the game folks, be like, hey, see this crowd. This is what you have to prepare for, and then some.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Make adjustments along the way.
Who knows? Maybe we could hijack Stage 0,
That was actually something I've always wanted to do, actually. Especially that Window and a lot of the old school DDR community has something to do with that. I've always wanted to have that main stage. There's more of just getting that machine on stage or having it in front of it.
Yeah.
But I think we have more than enough manpower to do so if we were to ever pull that off, because I know they have finals on for like Street Fighter and stuff on there. That'd be nice to have a DDR freestyle.
Ooh.
Maybe like top 6 there or something like that. That's something I would love to have.
That'd be perfect. You could do qualifiers in one place and then move over to stage 0 for finals.
Right, exactly.
That'd be awesome, dude.
That'd be amazing.
Well, we were just kicking around the idea, just kind of goofing around. The players have spoken. Well, at least a player has spoken.
Oh yeah, that's something that's always been on my mind for years.
Awesome, dude. Hey, we also have a Funktion on here, Benjamin, and I was curious on getting your thoughts on and experience from Fanime as well. I want to bring you in here.
Yeah, I thought the event was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I'm definitely a newcomer to the scene, and whenever I hang out with people like Phil or Jonas or really any freestyler, they throw around a lot of names and terms and even songs sometimes that I just haven't even heard of. But even so, no matter who I talk to, everyone is just so welcoming and eager to invite new people into the game. And I don't know, I could definitely see that at Fanime, and especially now, over the past couple of years, I've been finding out that I'm more of a pump player. But even then, just there's so much to offer in both of them, and I was really glad that I got to see that side of DDR.
I was glad to see such a good turnout for Pump as well on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see you win. I thought that was a really close top 3.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations on that, dude.
Thank you very much. It was very unexpected.
How was it going into the Pump tournament and coming out of it?
Going in, well, I actually wasn't sure if because Jonas recently became a father, so I didn't know if he was going to be able to make the Fanime. We got to make sure someone from Sacramento's showing up. So, yeah, of course we've got Phil, but I wanted to make sure that we're well represented. So, yeah, I figured, what the heck, because I actually was going to compete in USPF. And then I heard the regulation where you can only compete in speed or freestyle. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just do speed because
I still can't get over that. Like,
Wow, you weren't allowed to go in two?
Yeah.
I actually did not know that. Not that I was going to compete in speed, but
it limits the playing field. Like, maybe, I don't know if it's like a numbers control issue or whatever, but or players can focus on one or the other and really practice hard for one thing. But it's still pretty baffling to me that you can't enter both divisions.
It's kind of a time issue, I feel, but also it kind of prevents, like, because if someone's full into freestyle, then, like, odds are it's possible that they're not, like, that good at speed or vice versa, so it kind of, like, filters it out a little bit. But that aside, yeah, I was planning on giving that performance at USPF, but after I figured out that I couldn't, I thought, well, I guess I have more time to prepare more. So I decided to work it towards Fanime instead. Either way, though, I'm going to make sure that, like, no matter what performances come up, I'm definitely going to try and jump on them and, like, be brainstorming always, like, in advance and for preparation and stuff. So, yeah.
And just for the record, you can see this video as well as other pump videos on the NCWO Facebook page. I know they've uploaded onto their YouTube. We'll post a link up on our website when we drop the podcast info.
Yeah. To the NorCal World Order. Been holding it down for years and pump it up in the Bay Area. And how many events have you competed in? Are you still relatively new to freestyle, or have you been doing it for years?
My debut, I guess you could say, was actually at IPF, the International Pump Festival. We actually held it at an arcade in Sacramento, Strikes, just this past August. And it's kind of a funny story, actually. We were having the freestyle event, but in order for us to be, like, representable, we needed 6 people, and we had 5.
Yeah.
So everyone was just, hey, Benjamin, you dance, right? You should do an improv. I'm like, all right, yeah, fine, whatever. So, yeah. And suddenly I got really nervous, but mainly, like, everyone was just telling me, all right, dude, just have fun with it. And so I pretty much just did that. And it ended up being a lot more fun than well, of course I knew it would be fun, but it was a lot more of an experience that somehow became important to me than I thought it would. Because I never saw myself actually, like, legit competing in a freestyle tournament. I always wanted to focus on speed. I still do, but ever since then, like, I always had it as an option, just another way to play the game. And yeah, I did do one more performance after that. It was just it wasn't as good as the last, but that's also why I wanted to prepare more for Fanime, to make up for that last performance.
That can be a real motivator, honestly. Like, if you're not quite happy with your last performance, you double down. It usually works out in your favor. Like, kind of out of fear almost. Like, I fear going up there and missing arrows and forgetting moves, and as the event approaches, it kind of lights a fire under your ass. Like, you know, those last 2 or 3 days, it's like, you really got to get your stuff together.
Yep, that's right. I definitely felt that, like, at the con. Yeah.
And dude, you took first place. That's really, I mean, talk about a turnaround.
Yeah, like, I am serious when I say I didn't expect it. Even, like, while I asked people to record me just for practice runs, like, in the week before, I watched the footage and I was like, am I really gonna do this on stage, man? And then, like, watching, like, Jonas go and just all of the other pump players go, man, every other freestyle just has, like, they just seem so natural when it comes to moving so fluidly, and especially Phil with his groove, like you mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. I've always envied that. And, like, that's something that I'm still trying to put together.
Well, I think it's actually kind of admirable that you just mentioned, as part of your preparation for Fanime, you were talking about having people tape you and then running back and looking at your own performance and doing self-critique. Even I, as a seasoned freestyler, when I think about doing my practice runs, I have a lot of trouble looking at my own routines, whether it's even, like, the final cut. Like, unless I got first place, like, if I got 3rd or 4th, I'm just like, it just burned the footage. I never want to see this again. You know, I'm quirky in that regard, but I think for all the freestylers out there, being able to, you know, put yourself in that situation where you can be honest with yourself, look at, you know, what you think looks good and what doesn't, and being able to, you know, say, hey, this could do better, or like I could totally nail this, etc. That's a really helpful way of improving.
It is.
Because we all are our harshest critic, and the fact that you're able to own that and like leverage that to improve is a really awesome thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna like use my past performances and as resources, and even every now and then, like, actually, I've been told by a few of my mentors here back in SEC that I should like document, maybe not post, but at least view my own footage. This actually ties into something that I realized a couple weeks back. I was visiting in Concord, round 1, and I ran into John Tran and DaKree actually at that round 1. And of course, I was like practicing speed with John Tran, and I was having a lot of fun. I really love playing with him. And then DaKree would go. He would usually do his no bar set of like 20s, and I'm like, dude, you're insane, man. Why don't you take speed more seriously? And then I see DaKree just like practicing his freestyles, and it was at that moment that I realized that freestylers in like DDR and Pump, they practice their freestyle just as much as I practice my speed. And I was like, geez, this stuff is like serious. That's really cool, and I respect that. So like it goes to basically viewing your old footage of your performances is exactly like keeping track of your scores and speed. So that's the approach that I'm going to take to it from now on.
That's right, kids. Practice how you want to play.
Yeah, I love it. Like any way you can document it. Like I use Google Sheets to get my moves down and get things organized. Add to it every day and see what works in person and tweak it. Recording yourself is huge, and just going and playing casually in public and testing things out and getting those nerves smoothed out. Because it can look casual, it can look kind of off the cuff, but it does take a lot of work to get things clean. Just get your body all synced up and coordinated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of just bouncing back, you talked about how, moving forward, you have these types of ways to improve and sort of chart your progress. With that, how do you kind of see the rest of 2018 playing out for you, especially like within Pump or DDR, as it were? Do you see yourself entering more tournaments, kind of diving more into freestyle, or are you still going to jump back to speed, or are you kind of going to balance both?
For me specifically, I do have my own like set goals when it comes to speed and Pump. Like I do want to have certain levels of difficulty cleared before the end of the year. But throughout all that, I do still definitely plan on keeping up with freestyle. I always play Pump speed, Pump freestyle, DDR freestyle, and we don't have. There's kind of a separation between the DDR and Pump scene in Sacramento because, like, just a geographical thing, like different machines at different arcades. But I do what I can to overcome that by like going to keep in touch with the DDR scene. But basically, yeah, I don't want to limit myself when it comes to what aspect of the game I play in. So, yeah, I will definitely keep up with my freestyle and my speed.
Yeah, I think this sort of dichotomy between speed players and freestyle, that's probably a subject we can talk about in a pop minute or so.
Yeah, and also Phil got third place at a DDR Tech on Saturday.
Yes, unexpected.
That was unexpected. And mostly no bar too.
Certain times I use no bar. I'm kind of a huskier guy, so it kind of hurts to hold the bar too long. I have lower back issues when I hold the bar because compared to Pump It Up, DDR bars are a lot smaller. So, and just not having the chart knowledge in general. So, but I'm surprised the way it worked out. I somehow managed to get third, which I'm very happy with, I guess.
Dude, it was really impressive to watch. And
oh yeah,
that was I think that was the first day I've seen, or the first time I've seen you play. Oh yeah, play Marvelous Attack.
Oh yeah.
I think we were talking before one of your rounds, and you'd said like, oh yeah, max 300. The best I got in that is like one grade. Like I'm not too good at it.
Yeah, I still one grade away from AAAing, and it's really sad because I've been playing the song since it came out in Max in 2000, 2001. And I still can't manage to AAA it. It's just a cursed song for me.
Dude, I would kill to get one grade on Max 300.
I'd kill to get 10 grades on Max 300.
That's the best I've gotten. So I'm pushing to AAA it hopefully this year.
So, I guess kind of wrapping up this segment in general. Again, thanks for having both of you along. How did you both kind of meet up? I mean, Sacramento is probably a very it's a community that's been there since I would say like 2000, because I remember the old Sacramentals and stuff like that. So you're kind of like in a second generation of players. How'd you two meet up?
We actually met each other. I actually met him through his brother years ago. We used to, when I was actually trying to learn how to breakdance, I met him. We were actually in a crew together called Lion's Trap. And I met him. I found out his brother. And he had played DDR, I guess, on home versions prior. And that's how the whole conversation came up with him getting back into dance games. And I was running a DDR Max 2 tournament at Fanime a few years ago. And from then on, I mean, just kind of led to him kind of getting back into dance games.
And you did house dance together?
No, he was more into breaking. I was that's the time I was starting to get into house.
Gotcha.
That was probably like 3 or 4 years ago.
And for the record, we here at Freestyle Takeover, we are suckers for house dance.
Oh yeah. Something about footwork it just always comes to me naturally. I've always been into house dancing for probably like 5-6 years ago, but I didn't really start taking it seriously until about 3 to 4 years ago.
It's so good.
And that's most of my dance background comes from. Prior to that, I tried to learn how to break, but it was just very difficult. And I didn't really put in the time like I should have. So I kind of dropped it.
I'm the same way. I was like, if I don't take this seriously enough, like really put in the proper training, like I'm going to hurt myself.
Right. And I kept telling myself year after year, I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to do it this year. To the point where I'm just like, I'm probably going to focus more on house now. If not house, definitely want to explore popping a little bit. I kind of want to get into it now. That and locking. Just seeing a lot of the old school DDR players, especially like Chaos and Lil B, and seeing where they come from. And I think I've seen footage of you too, James, years ago of you getting into popping and stuff like that.
Yeah, love it.
So it's good to see people transitioning from dance games to actual dance. And it was kind of the opposite for me, because I joined dance. I've had like dance crews and stuff back in like elementary school, but nothing I took seriously. But I've always had a thing for music and dance in the past, so it was just kind of natural for me to get into DDR.
That's great, man. And so one thing I wanted to touch on really quick, you run a lot of events too. You run Just Dance tournaments, which I didn't even know had tournaments. I just want to really go really quick into that.
Oh yeah. So before we get into that, I remember you entered some of my DDR tournaments at Fanime when I was running them on home pads. And as I saw DDR kind of like dwindle out when I was trying to revive it at a certain time, I went to YowieCon, I believe 2011, 2012. And we had, I was part of the game room staff. And I happened to see Just Dance there. It was Just Dance 3. And the crowds that we were getting were just massive. I mean, there was like 50, 60 people watching at a time. It was crazy. And I figured out, like, well, if DDR really isn't working out and there's not much of a scene for it, I should probably explore this avenue and see where Just Dance goes. And that's when I got heavily into Just Dance. After that, Dance Central was, I kind of got introduced to Dance Central at a friend's house. It was Dance Central 2. I think it was back in 2012, 2011. And I just fell in love instantly. I love learning how to explore routines, because you have to learn each routine to get a high score, especially on leaderboards. And I was always trying to attack leaderboards for the longest time. And that's where I was kind of like heavily focused on that. That was pretty much my alternative to DDR. So between 2011 and up to the return of Ace, that's pretty much where I was set on as far as like dance games. So I never really left the music game genre. I was just exploring different games.
Nice. I remember one of our earlier questions on the podcast was like, or actually on the Aero Panel podcast, it came up whether we're worried that games like Just Dance and Dance Central could replace freestyle or make freestyle obsolete.
Right. Dance Central is the closest thing to that, actually. They have a mode called Keep the Beat, and you literally just groove and you dance, and it just pretty much, depending on how much energy you you put into each move, you'll actually score very high. It's in the party mode, which is pretty cool. They had a lot of mini games, but sometimes if I just wanted to jam out, I would literally just put on Keep the Beat, play whatever song that was on there. I had all of the DLC and all the past versions that you can, and I played those like crazy, and I was burning lots and lots of calories doing that. So it was good to have that sort of freestyle aspect implemented in that game instead of just copying the routine.
After hearing you hype up Dance Central like that, I think I might have to give that a whirl now.
Oh yeah, they're dirt cheap now. Like I found all the Dance Centrals. If you can buy them all for like $5 to $6 each in Connects, you might want to grab them now because now that Microsoft has pretty much discontinued Connects now. I mean, you can get them for extremely cheap, and the music selection for Dance Central compared to Just Dance, so much better.
Oh,
you got
I
a lot
love
of
Dance
old
Central
90s R&B like Mary J. Blige. You got a lot of songs like Poison, and
that's like my favorite routine, by the way. I love doing Poison.
Oh yeah, you would love it. You should definitely get a setup. Anthony Bowie, part of the Bowie brothers. He was playing it heavily too. He entered my tournament back in 2012. And he was a monster. He killed it. Him and Butters.
Yep.
They entered my tournaments in the past. So definitely something you guys should get into. It's a fun game. I'm thinking about getting back into it myself.
I'm inspired now.
Yeah, I think actually probably one of the advantages a game like Just Dance or Dance Central does, especially for someone who wants to get into like freestyle. Sometimes a lot of people have like this hurdle where it's like, okay, there are arrows. What the hell do I do with them? It's like sometimes it's like kind of Dance Central is kind of taking you to school. It's telling you what you got to do at what point of the game. Follow this. That's why like when people go to weddings, sometimes they don't like dancing on the dance floor, but you put on the Cupid Shuffle or something like that. It's like, oh, I know what I have to do. I have to go to the left, to the left, to the right. It's like it's telling me what to do. You hear YMCA. Oh, I know what to do here. Yeah. So I think. One of the takeaways from that is people want to get into freestyle but don't know the first thing. How am I supposed to do this? Try something, like Just Dance or Dance Central. It'll give you that sort of quasi-expectation of, what goes where, and you learn theory of, like, why certain movements go with certain types of beats and genres of music.
Right. It's a much easier learning curve, right? Than just jumping into freestyle.
It's a hard learning curve.
Oh, is it really?
It took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours per routine to learn.
Oh, wow. All right.
They take you step by step. It's pretty cool. Fun fact, by the way. You guys are pretty. You guys have heard of America's Best Dance Crew, right?
Oh, ABDC, yeah. It used to be on TV.
Surprisingly, there was a crew called Funk Phenomenon, I believe. I forgot which season it was.
Ooh.
They're the ones who mainly choreographed most of those songs in Dance Central.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Fun little fact. I forgot exactly. There was like 2 or 3 members from that crew who pretty much made all of the routines for that game.
Very nice.
And it's cool to see actual legit dancers really putting in the time and coming up with these routines per song in the game.
Nice. I have to admit, one of the guilty pleasures I have of like things that I watch on YouTube over and over again for like some irrational reason is this one cat who got like 100% on expert on Usher's OMG routine. Like,
that's hard.
Dude, I looked at that routine. I was like, how the hell do you like do all this like with perfect, lines and all that kind of stuff? And to see someone do that just blew me away. And apparently, I guess the guy who choreographed that was legitimately Usher's choreographer, and that just blew me away.
Mm-hmm. He actually choreographed it. I think he choreographed that. He did Scream, and then one of the DLC songs called Euphoria.
Wow.
So that was cool to see. One thing, it's really unfortunate that it died out because, obviously Just Dance is more of a game that you can just kind of easily jump in and play. And, when they were competing, after Dance Central 3 back in 2012, and then that's when it kind of like fizzled out. And it's really sad and unfortunate because, most Americans they have busy lives, and sometimes they don't have the time and to put in. They just kind of want to jump in and play, and I think that's why like games like Beat Mania didn't really last long in the States.
Yeah,
because it's just such a huge learning curve compared to other dance games, and this is why Just Dance thrives so much.
Gotcha. I think I got mixed up earlier. It seems like it's got more hand holding and just much more accessible. I mean, you're gonna see it every year at E3. They're always gonna roll this game out every year. So if it makes dance more accessible and it gives people an idea of what's out there and the amount of variety to different songs, I think that's really awesome.
Right.
So we should probably move the show along.
Yeah. So anyway, just kind of speaking of freestyle and like all these theories that we've been talking about, let's get into a quick mailbag that we've been doing. So I know recently on our Twitter we had a poll of what people wanted to hear about. So we threw a few topics up there, and I get the winner was people want to talk about, how do people memorize steps for their routines. So James.
So I'm still spoiled on DDR Freak. I still go back to the step chart section, download the chart on a sheet, study the sheet, and then play it in Stepmania. If I can't pass it with my fingers, if I can't pass it playing at the arcade, I just keep drilling it over and over and over again until I know the chart, and then I start just working on moves. But I need to get those arrows first. It's really just a combination of Google Sheets and Stepmania. And as for Pump It Up, like I'm still way out of my league because I can't find any charts online. Yeah, I was told there's like an Android app for charts for Pump, but I'm a iOS user, so.
Right. Actually, I wanted to ask you guys how you guys learn your charts, because I guess mine is a very unique way. I tend to record the song, and I'll just constantly take it section by section and eventually learn it. But I know a lot of people like to print out charts, and I guess that just never really worked for me. So I was curious to know how you guys remembered learned your charts in general.
Okay. Well, mine is sort of, I guess you could say, a very middle ground between a chart and just kind of learning. The way I kind of think about it is you got to look at it as not just look at it as a bunch of steps. You have to think of it as a song, because when most people think about songs, they think, okay, there's verse 1, then there's bridge, or, there's hook. Verse 2, then there's hook. So I kind of think about I break down my routines into very, small sections. And so rather than, think of every, this thing as, one long string of steps, I think of it as learning, okay, I'm going to learn this first 8 count here, or this 2/8 count. This is what I'm going to do. So I'll listen to the music. It's like from here to here. Okay, I'm going to chart this out in my mind. And so I think of it more as a routine as opposed to okay, this is upright, because when I'm doing all the blocking, the dance moves and such, ultimately I'm memorizing my routine as I'm doing this move and then this move. I'm not thinking up arrow, right arrow, because if your movement is natural, you're going to hit it anyway. And I think if you're thinking at it as an arrow standpoint, you're more likely to look down on the pad, and you're thinking about that as opposed to thinking of the performance, looking at the audience. So when I look at a sheet and I see the arrows, I specifically kind of, chart it, I block it off into sections, like this is section A, this is section B, and I try to look for certain symmetries. I'll use Pump It Up, for example. You look for, I think the one routine that I did, the XID song, was it Up and Down, I think it's called? Things I looked for was, are there certain patterns that, tend to repeat or tend to mirror? And I noticed, when it came to the hooks, so I looked at the hooks twice, and it's like, okay, this is exactly, one way, this is how it goes. On the other way, it's basically mirrored. So I'm like, okay, so all I gotta do is, I can use choreography one way, and then I can use choreography to mirror the other way. Kind of like when James was talking about doubling up on moves so it looks more effective. It's like, okay, I could do this one way, and I could do this the other way, so it doesn't look like, a complete, thing like that. So once I have that out of the way, that's okay, I got that memorized down pat. So you just look for a few, idiosyncrasies here and there, and you hammer that out. But if you have, a solid base of, if nothing else, this is not going to fail me, this, particular pattern, it becomes easier. So part of it is, look for patterns that kind of repeat, or, that lead to, a very common step that you do. Say if you do an up, down, there are some people that do kind of that Charleston sort of, kid and play kick step kind of move. There's that. Or if it's left, right, it's double up one move on one side and double it up on the other. So I think when you look at it more from a choreography standpoint, the arrows tend to matter less and less.
Yeah.
So I think, if you're looking for something to memorize, it's got to come naturally from you. It's not the machine dictating what you're going to do. It's what you're imposing on the machine.
There's a certain point where you sort of turn the tables. I don't always start from the beginning. I sort of find the spots that make the most sense to me. With 1998, I went straight for the chorus because I love the chorus on that song. Mm-hmm. You just find long strings of arrows that you can look at the step chart as an overview and see the whole flow of it and see whether it makes sense. Memorize that first, kind of mark out sections of the songs where you know you'll be stronger, and then fill in the rest from there.
Yeah.
But I love to find the points where I know that I can hit this like every time.
Yeah, that's where musicality plays a big factor into how our routine looks really good. Because sometimes you're not just going by the arrow cues, you're going by the music, you're going by the vocals.
Yeah.
So it's like when they say, I want to take you back, or like that, it's like you could just do a big move with bravado, like that's like you're on top of the mountain kind of crescendo sort of type thing. It's kind of like in wrestling where, you think of the high spots, where am I going to like jump off the ladder and, just freaking wow them. So it's like, okay, you'll build from, the top spots there, and then everything else just sort of like is the filler that leads up to it.
Yeah. After a certain point of memorizing arrows, you can just kind of listen to the song by itself and know where the arrows are kind of assigned to different parts of the song. Like, do you just listen to the song in the car, say like driving down to Fanime? Did you have it on, or is there a way to like mentally practice without really dancing to it, just sort of writing it over and over?
Just like what you guys are saying, like I listen to the song over and I watch the chart as many times as I can, and eventually when I'm ready to test myself, I'll just play the song by itself and turn my phone off, but just hear the song, and the songs come to me naturally. The steps come to me naturally after that. So that's the way I've always done it. I just was trying to figure out other ways of doing it, and that's just my take on it.
Yeah, it's so satisfying once that happens. Like once it clicks and you can start to like visualize it, it's all downhill from there. It feels good.
Oh yeah. It's always the beginning that's the hardest.
Yeah. But also, I just actually want to take this moment to shout out to Kevin Tan Valius, one of our previous guests. I believe he uploaded some of the freestyle charts for Pump It Up.
If not all of them.
Yeah, if not all of them, practically.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think just by me alone, if you realized MAGWest and Up and Down have like 300 more hits than every other video, that's all me. I can't even tell you how many times I shotgunned that.
Oh yeah, huge shout out to him. He's been doing that for years.
Oh man,
doing God's work.
Even
man.
if the chart's already up, he'll any version that happens after that, he'll just re-upload it because charts change and move around a lot and Pump It Up. So
wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so many charts.
Thanks to him, like he's how I got to know the songs in Pump better. I just listened to the whole playlist in my car, day after day until I finally found some songs I liked. That's all thanks to Kevin.
Yeah, his knowledge on Pump It Up is crazy. And I got into Pump It Up back in Premiere 2, and he's been doing it pretty much since the beginning. So he knows his stuff when it comes to anything Pump related. So yeah, definitely shout out to him for that.
Hey, he makes memorizing a lot easier for us. He gives us the tools. Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of Pump It Up, we talked earlier about speed versus freestyle and dichotomy, and we actually put on our Twitter, which is at FST Takeover, Apple Frog, who's one of the freestylers that's on the come up in our ranks. He did very well. He was a runner up in Cypher, and he placed
third place at Pump.
Yeah, in Pump at Fanime. So really awesome to hear from him. He asked us specifically, why do speed players hate freestylers? Now, we're going to preface this by saying this is not meant to be a flame war or anything like that, but we're going to be as absolutely fair and objective about it. So, that said, let's take off the gloves and start throwing hands. No, but yeah, this is just kind of like my theory about it. I know there are tech players who would never dare set their feet in freestyle, and that's okay. That may not be your thing. There are freestylers who freestyle because they know they sure as hell can't tech. I being one of them, But I think a lot of it has to deal with sort of a competitive it's how they view competition. Because I think with speed players or tech players, what have you, when they get into tournaments or like they want to chart their progress, they like empirical evidence. If you hit everything on Marvelous, you're gonna get like a triple. You're gonna get that million score. You're gonna get. This is a very definitive thing. If you do A plus B, you will always get C. Whereas freestyle is definitely a more subjective kind of thing. It's, you go up there, but sometimes you wonder, why am I doing this? It's not going to give me a high score. I could do it for the crowd, but does that make me money at night or anything like that? It's like, well, what if I look like a dumbass and, everyone puts me on blast and I go viral? There's a lot of psychology that goes into it, but I think freestyle, why, some people do one or the other, it kind of just depends on, like I said, it's competition. Do you just want something that's like fair, objective, and very basically, do you want to be judged by a machine or judged by a human? And some people would rather be judged by a machine because they think there is no margin for error whatsoever. There's not that human component that says, well, I kind of like this, and, you may get a reason, you may not get a reason. And I understand. That's why I think one of the things we address as far as, Freestyle Takeover, when we do our events, we like to leave very detailed comments. We like to be very transparent with our scorecards. We will tell you exactly why, you got first or second or third, or we will justify every decision we make. It's something we stand by. I think it's something we should be very proud of. And we think, if other tournaments could stand to be a little bit more transparent.
Yeah, it's something to work towards. We're still trying to find structure in freestyle and improve it every time we have an event.
And I think the most important thing also, just to kind of like add one more point, is in freestyle, there really is no one set way to like get that perfect, score and all that. There are some people who like comedy. There are some people who like, dance moves. There's some people who like a hybrid of both. There are some people who like things that go way out of the box. And you know what? The way I see it, all of them are valid. And that is the beauty of freestyle.
Yeah. I think it's very type A personality, type B. I think you can really approach the game from two different ways. And one will more naturally feel like a good fit for you. I think, the majority will play for score. Freestyle is kind of in the minority. But as far as the question goes, like, why do speed players hate freestylers? I think that's kind of a loaded question. I felt getting to know more of the community, more of the players on Twitter, just at meetups. Like, I felt nothing but love from Marvelous Attack players, guys from SF Evolved, Omid, Brittany, the Galaga ship, Amber up in Seattle. These are some of the most positive people I've come across, and as a whole, I think the DDR community, what I've come across has been really wholesome and supportive, no matter which way you play the game. So yeah,
it's a different scene now than it was, say, in maybe 2004 or 2005. If I'm thinking flashpoints of when we started getting this like sort of divide between tech versus freestyle, I know that was around the time Into Groove came out, and Into Groove was very much a tech game made by tech people for tech people, which is a-okay. I tried looking, there for like freestyle songs, and I found like 2. So, it's like I kind of knew exactly, which lane I didn't belong in. It's fine. I think there was just more of a concerted effort on tech to, make the game harder, make the game, more of a challenge physically, and to go for the high score. Freestyle was just sort of, they didn't build it with freestyle in mind, and that's fine. That's, it's your game. Build it how you want. I'm not going to, say anything cross about it or whatsoever. But I think there was a point where people just kind of thought, and this is probably something that we should save for another, definitely for another episode with a special guest. But one of the freestyle tournaments that I participated in back in 2003, there were some judges, or like, there was a mentality out there that their take on freestyle was dance moves were kind of passé. Paraphrasing what they were saying was, well, if you dance too much, it's just you're kind of flailing around and looking like an idiot up there. So I was kind of like, wow, when I heard people were saying that was like, the tide has turned. There was like a line drawn in the sand there, especially as someone who, most of my freestyles are dance-based. Yeah, sure, I do some comedy here and there, but, dance is very fundamental. That's just kind of how I did it. I won tournaments that way, so why ruin a good thing? Yeah, what just kind of tripped their wire and all of a sudden they turned on it? I don't know. You'll have to ask them. I think, it's just kind of one of those things where you got to have one of them summits,
Right. I was actually going to ask you, weren't DDR freestyle and tech, at least back in the day, I didn't really kind of get into the tournament scene until like after 2006. Didn't they coincide with each other? Wasn't it always together on the same day, or were they separate like they are now?
Generally speaking, they were on the same day. Like, unless it was like a really huge tournament where it was going to be like a 2-day affair, you only had those maybe like once or twice a year. So yeah, they were generally on the same day. It was often PA would start, and then freestyle would be like the nighttime capper.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was kind of curious because I feel like just like old school hip hop, when you have the 4 elements coming together, when you had a full-on jam, when you had b-boys, MCs, graffiti artists, and DJs all at the same event. That's how I felt like with DDR. I felt like you needed them both to run any sort of event. So the fact that like it was separated after that, it was it's kind of sad. I feel like we should enjoy every way of playing together and showcasing as much as we can to bring in a crowd, whoever, feels as if that's their kind of thing, I don't like the fact that it gets separated. I kind of like them having them all together as one. That's how I feel about it.
I'm with you, dude. I love the crossover, and I love the cross pollination of both communities. Both communities supporting each other. I want to see people enter both. Like I said before, it's all about just all styles, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I feel like we're all winning in the end because we're all burning calories. We're all getting in shape.
True that.
So we're all winners here.
Yeah, true. I do like the analogy you brought up with sort of like the B-boy gatherings where you had the 4 elements and such, and DDR with its 2 elements. I think one of the things with running tourneys like that was you only had one machine, so it's not like you could run something concurrent. Tech tourneys, as you know, those things take forever, especially if you have like qualifiers. So I mean, there were some people and I was guilty of this at some points. I just wanted to be there when I needed to be there. It's like, because watching qualifiers and then going to the main thing, it's taxing to be in an arcade for 8 hours.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. Not to make any generalizations, or at least my fear from speed players is it's just a waste of time, just messing around. And the more we can do to just prove that it can be really competitive, it can take a lot of training. It's more than just fucking around on a Friday night. People take this really seriously and also get a lot out of it.
Yeah. My best analogy to that, if you look at people who say they're basketball fans, and they'll see someone they look at Vince Carter or Harold Miner or Steve Francis, they're like, oh, all those guys do is dunk. It's like, come on, do they know how to play basketball? It's like, yeah, they say, well, a dunk is 2 points. That's the same thing as, if you hit a jump shot. It's like, what's the difference? Why you got to do that? And it's like, it's entertainment, guys. If it wasn't for, guys like Carter or, Jordan or these people who are flashy, you wouldn't have the casual person stop, when they're flipping channels and be like, yo, what's that? Or, they're watching sports center and think, wow, is, the game usually this exciting? And then, they watch and yeah, they'll see the highlights, but they'll also start to understand, wait, there's more to this game. They understand the fundamentals and how defensive zones are set up, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes you need that crossover appeal. And I think freestyle is very much a gateway drug for people to get, for a casual person to look at DDR and say, oh, this looks exciting. Kind of like in NASCAR, we always thought NASCAR was just a bunch of, rednecks running around, doing clockwise circles. But then here comes Jeff Gordon, who has all his teeth. He's a California guy. But you know what? Everyone's, watching. And now instead of driving for prizes that are basically cans of tobacco and motor oil, now they're racing for millions of dollars. Why? Because you have that one transcendent guy, that makes everything exciting. Same thing with golf. Everyone thought it was the old white guy sport. Lo and behold, Tiger Woods comes in, and he is a phenomenon, and everybody is into him. Kids are into him. Women are watching golf. Minorities are watching golf now. You never thought that would have been the case. And that's, the same thing with video games. Everyone thinks video games is just, for a bunch of nerds who, do nothing. But it's like, hey, these guys play DDR. Hey, they're in shape. Whoa, they know how to dance. Whoa, they got charisma. How do we market the hell out of that? So, I mean, why Speed would ever hate on freestyle, for those reasons alone, knowing damn well we can make them famous, what do I know? And this is not even coming from a, place where we hate Speed for any reason, because we don't. Oh. So just, to follow up that question, why do Speed players hate freestylers? Let the record show. Freestylers, hey, we don't hate you guys. The fact that you're helping promote that, if it wasn't for, tech players and all that, the game probably would have died years ago, because, it was tech tournaments that was holding it down during the years freestyle was dormant. Yeah.
And dude, watching KSC finals, watching really high level speed. I'm just gonna call it speed, even though it's like a pump it up term. Dude, that's hype as hell to watch. Just Christopher Life go against Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of training and time they put in the game, their knowledge, it's a whole different ball game, and it's super exciting to watch. So
and even just we were talking about Chris. There was that segment that Polygon did on him. It's like. It's the human interest that grabs people as well. When you realize, oh, this is what this guy did to get there. It's like, this is fascinating as hell, I think freestyle is just a lot easier to follow along with because it's like, okay, you may not know video games, but you know dance, you know music. Watch the rating spike. So, Phil, do we have any closing thoughts from you on this subject or just anything in general?
Just the appreciation of the old school, bringing it back and giving, especially my generation, the chance to really get into freestyle. With the time you guys were freestyling and the time you guys had all those events, I was 10, 11 years old. And I've always dreamed of actually being able to attend these events. You guys were like celebrities to me. You know, I always watched you guys, old school footage, a lot of the Pump Street footage of like Pump players in Korea and DDR here. And it's just an amazing opportunity to be able to pass that on to me and my generation, looking up to you guys as a kid. And continuing this on. So it means a lot to me. If no one's told you before, it's good to bring this back, and I'm gonna definitely support it as much as I can, for sure, until my body gives out.
Thank you for your unwavering and undying passion.
Dude, thank you so much.
Oh yes.
It's just so great to have you be a part of the community and see you out there and just seeing you killing it.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much. That's it means a lot, and seeing the Sacramento scene come up as much as it has, and getting everyone out here and trying to travel. I want to be able to host tournaments here too. So I like that, the joy of traveling from city to city to participate in these events. It's always good to get out.
Oh yeah, most stuff. I mean, I even think about just all the tournaments that I went to back in the early 2000s, going from here to like SoCal to...
Yeah.
I've been in tournaments in like New York and like Omaha, you know?
Wow.
But you go to some crazy places. It's it's fun, you know, just all the road trips, all the bonding you do with your friends, and such.
Yeah.
You know, I think, like, gosh, it'd be just so fun to have an episode of like the greatest road trips ever for, you know, going out to a gaming tournament.
Oh yeah,
because yeah, all that stuff is just pretty amazing. So kind of like leaving on that high positive note after kind of dragging through all that freestyle and tech and like, you know, who hates who, but you know, it's all love in the end.
Yeah, spoiler alert, nobody.
Yeah. So yeah, just to kind of wrap it all up, hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. I want to thank Uncle Phil for being such an awesome guest, as well as Funktion. Find us on the web at freestyletakeover.com. Find us on social media. We're at FS Takeover on Twitter. We're on Instagram at Freestyle Takeover. And if you want to follow any of us founders here from the Freestyle staff, I am at DJ Melvis. You can find me there on Instagram, on Twitter, on Snapchat, on Facebook, on like Fitbit. You know, hey, it doesn't matter. Hey, I'm accessible.
And I'll be on Twitter at YayGabbyJ, YayGabbyJay. Shoutouts to Super Punch Out.
The greatest jobber to ever live and get knocked out. And Uncle Phil, where can we find you? Where can our fans find you?
You can find me. I don't really have much of a social media presence outside of Facebook. I guess you just look up Philip Reed, and I'm sure you'll find me somewhere. That's pretty much it. That's all I really use. You can actually no, I lied. You can find me. I just made a Twitter account at Substream Phil.
All right, so that's Substream Phil. We'll definitely give you a follow, man.
And Benjamin, does he have Twitter?
Benjamin, I do not know. You just look up Funktion on YouTube, and you'll probably just look up footage of him.
Okay, and that is Funktion, like F-U-N-K.
Oh yeah, F-U-N-K.
T-I-O-N.
Bringing the funk.
Mm-hmm. So again, thanks everybody for listening, downloading, following us on social media, etc., etc.
And with that said, we've only got 4 awards for you.
Show me your performance!